These storytime episodes are best enjoyed with headphones. If you do not know why am I whispering or using my soft-spoken voice, then I highly encourage you to look up what ASMR is. In tonight's storytime episode, I'm going to be making a review about the book called The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. Maybe you have heard about the book as it was quite a bestseller back in the USA. It actually spent 165 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. As of May 2005, the book has sold over 5 million copies worldwide, with translations into 34 languages. There is also a movie after the book, which was released in 2006. The author, James Redfield, actually expanded the book story into a series, and he also released a couple of other titles, which are The 10th Insight, Holding the Vision in 96, and then in 99, The Secret of Shambhala, In Search of the 11th Insight, and in 2011, The 12th Insight, The Hour of Decision. I'm currently part of a book club, and we just finished reading The Celestine Prophecy. Despite us knowing that it might not be living up to its name, we wanted to give it a try regardless. We heard mixed reviews before even starting the book, and we've been at it for months. We usually read the chapter at a time and then we discuss the chapter. So I decided to split this review into two. It is going to be spoiler free in case you want to read the book, so I'm not going to spoil the story in any way. I will talk about some of the ideas, and I will quote a couple of things from the book, and we will discuss on them. So I hope this will be a nice and relaxing, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, hopefully, in which you can listen to me ramble about the book. As I was reading the first chapter, it got me kind of hooked, and it gave me the feeling that I was reading one of those cheesy romance novels, which I found interesting, and again, as I said, it kept me hooked up for at least an hour, and I read way past the first chapter until I stopped. After the first 30 or 40 pages, the story kind of, at least for me, kind of just went on a different path, and I didn't find it as interesting as before. Others that have read the book have said that actually, on the contrary, they found it more interesting after the first chapter. So I guess it's just a matter of opinion. I haven't highlighted any quotes that are worth mentioning in the first chapter, so I'm just gonna skip, I think, to the next chapter, where one particular sentence got my attention, which is, life is about passing a spiritual test you discover. And I feel like that's somewhat true. I feel like once you are on the path of awakening, everything feels like a test. Some religions, especially Christianity, not that I have anything against Christians, I was born Christian as well. Christianity has this idea that you live for a single purpose, that of either winning that spiritual test or losing, which will mean losing your salvation, if you like. I feel like that's a bit drastic, and those of you who may not be into anything spiritual and you're just here for the ASMR, I don't know what to tell you. You kind of have to live it to know what I mean. And then on the same subject, a couple of pages later, I highlighted, if the reason for human existence is wrong, you ask, then what is right? I don't wanna give you the context of this because I would be spoiling the story. Instead, I want you to imagine that in history there were different ideas as to why you are alive, as to what is your purpose, why do you exist. And different religions have brought the answer, or at least the idea of an answer, to surface, and they gave it to the people. So if it's certain religion or if it's certain idea that you have heard, that you may have, that you may believe in, even at this very moment, if that is wrong, then what is right? Then the author goes on to explain what is it thinking and what's his train of thought behind this question. I think the bottom line on this one, without me having to say too much and expose the plot, is that you always have to be curious about everything, right? Question everything. Don't trust anything or anyone 100%, because no one knows what is right. No one knows what is right for you either than you. So I think that's all I can say on this. Another quote on the same subject was, the question of why we were alive, of what was actually going on here spiritually, was slowly pushed aside and repressed altogether. Here the argument that the author presents on the same subject kind of goes on to say that humanity has pushed aside everything spiritual and has focused on technology for a while, for like 100 years, which is correct, because all the technological advancements have kind of been pursued and discovered in the past 150 years or so, mostly because humanity was busy with something else before that, but I will leave it to the book to explain that better than I will. Another thing that I found interesting was, quote, do you understand that chance encounters often have a deeper meaning? Question mark, end of quote. There is an actual dialogue between the author and one of the characters in the book on this topic, but I think the author wants to bring the attention towards synchronicities and that nothing is a coincidence. I used to believe that there are coincidences coincidences, but now I'm not too sure. I feel like everything that you have to go through and everything that you encounter on a daily basis cannot be a coincidence. They often do have a deeper meaning, which you may or may not discover at that point, but you might discover it at a later point in life. There's a whole topic around the synchronicities and the angel numbers and how these can guide you on your path. But whether you believe that these actually have a deeper meaning or not, it's up to you. When I first started reading the book, I didn't realize that the author was actually creating this story as he went along. At first I thought it was a perfect description of how things happened and how he told them. I don't know if I missed that part of book club when someone announced that this is actually a fiction book. It's not. The events happening in the book did not actually happen in real life, and I wasn't aware of it until about 25 pages in, when I was like, this is very suspicious. And I couldn't tell what was wrong, and then I realized, oh, it must be a fiction book. Chapter 3, I would say, was probably the most interesting part of the book, as it shows you how to connect with everything around you. And there's also an exercise in the chapter that you can try. I haven't tried it, but I'm curious to see if anyone has a lot of Reiki practitioners or energy healers or people that work with energy on a daily basis have probably a better idea than I do about how you can connect with the energy around you. I have a basic understanding. I can heal myself, I can heal others. However, I do not do it anymore for various reasons, in which I will not go in today. And I can also direct and redirect energy from something or towards something. And maybe one day I will be showing you how to do that and how to feel the objects around you. But I feel like for a beginner, especially in this subject, I feel like chapter 3 would be sort of mind-blowing. Chapter 3 and 4 especially, because it will show you a part of life that you've never thought to look twice at. You didn't think that there could be more than what you see with your own eyes. Quote, "When we control another human being, we receive their energy." End of quote. I wasn't aware of this, even though, as I said, I do have a bit of an experience, but not that far deep, that when you're trying to control someone, when you're trying to manipulate them, when you're trying to micromanage them, when you're trying to have them do your bidding, you actually do receive their energy. So you're sort of energetic vampire, if you like, which kind of makes sense. Do you know those people that come to you and they complain about all their problems and they keep going and going and going until you feel so drained? That's exactly what's happening, because they come to you because they need that energy. They need to feel better, and that's how they choose to do it. Whether they do it intentionally or not, yourself. Okay, next quote actually doesn't have anything to do with the book. I just love animals. So I highlighted 3 llamas peered at us from a fenced pasture because I love llamas. So I found it funny because I wasn't even aware I highlighted this. I wasn't planning of telling you that I have, but since I was scrolling through the book, that's what I found. Quote, you saw that someone is dominating you physically. They actually take your mind away. It was not as if you lost some intellectual debate with them. You didn't have the energy or mental clarity to debate with. All your mental power was going to them. Unfortunately, this kind of psychic violence happens all the time throughout human culture, often by otherwise well-meaning people. End of quote. This is kind of self-explanatory, and it kind of ties into what I was saying earlier about those people that have a need of controlling or dominating you or stealing your energy. And even as the author says, this could be brought onto you by someone who is meaning well, just because they don't know what they're doing and they want the best for you. You just have to be aware of what is happening so you can stop it. And the last quote, I looked at the tree and tried to remember the emotion on the ridge. Gradually, I began to admire its shape and presence. My appreciation grew until I actually felt an emotion of love. End of quote. Until recently, I didn't know what the author was trying to say here because I haven't experienced something like this. Some months ago, one of my acquaintances actually made a remark towards a particular tree and expressed how they were feeling about the tree and how they would do anything for that tree, that it's so magical and powerful and connected, and they could feel what energy that the tree was radiating and how they were connecting to it. And in that moment I saw a different perspective. I always thought nature was beautiful. However, I think that part just kind of opened my mind and made me realize how one can love a tree. It's just as simple as that. And when I was reading the book, I remembered what my acquaintance said and related to that particular moment. I don't think a lot of people realize how everything is connected, how all is one, how every single thing makes a difference somewhere, how we can all bathe in the energy around us, especially if we look at our surroundings with love, if we open up and if we feel that plant, that tree, that animal, that person, and then we can energetically connect them and instantly feel better, instantly feel that love, that warmth. I feel like the storyline could have been definitely improved. There were bits that I couldn't read just because they bored me. Yeah. At some parts I admit I kind of skipped the description of the nature or the surroundings, and I skipped to the dialogue because it was a bit too much. Also, that this is a spiritual book and you should try to understand what the author is trying to say, and rather than focusing on the storyline, which is fiction anyway. In the next video, of course, I will say a couple more things about the other half of the book, but I think that's all I have to say without trying to give you too much information and spoiling the storyline. I say it's definitely worth a read. It's not even that long of a book. I think it's about 160 pages or so. As an ebook, I'm not too sure about the paper version. There were books in the past that I actually did regret reading them, and I got mad at some of the things that I have seen before my eyes. At some of the things that I have seen in those books. But this is definitely not one of those, and I encourage you to give it a try. I think I would give it a 7 out of 10, just because a lot of things could have been improved. I don't think the author had any experience in writing a book. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you were either able to fall asleep or at least to learn something from it.